So phytoestrogens, Tyler. Okay, I need you to kind of recap, because we had a great discussion about it last time, but not everybody would have seen that. Yep. So if they didn't, sort of explain what we're talking about when it comes to phytoestrogens.
Sure. So plant-based estrogens, which are known as phytoestrogens, there's nothing estrogen-like about them. They just happen to be shaped like estrogen, so they're classified as like plant-based estrogens.
Okay.
So basically, the way I look at it, so you've got all these different food sources that contain these naturally occurring phytoestrogens. There's different types of molecules, different kinds, but they all are similarly shaped. So we've got things like flaxseed especially has very high quantities of phytoestrogens. Soy as well is another big one, but it's in beer, it's in coffee, it's in oil seeds, nuts.
Which you mentioned last time. I was like, really?
Yeah, it's not something that's exclusive to soy. It's found pretty much everywhere. And so if you think about, I brought my little shapes again. If you think about this as estrogen, so this is something secreted by your body. It's some place, so let's just say ovaries, for instance, and then bound to some other place in the body. So it secretes by the ovaries and binds somewhere else, and it fits into the receptor perfectly. So it's a 10 out of 10 in terms of its stimulation, its exact shape. Whereas plant-based estrogens kind of shaped the same way, and they will fit into a receptor, not perfectly, kind of like a lock, like a key that goes halfway in to a lock, and it exerts maybe say like a 5 out of 10. So it fits in. It doesn't exert a full estrogen-like effect. It exerts a partial estrogen-like effect.
Okay, so what does that do to the body?
So and when it comes to, there's kind of three main things that you can use or discuss about phytoestrogens that are beneficial to health. The big one is cancer prevention. So there's a lot of debate when it comes to plant-based estrogens and their role in cancer. Sort of the general consensus is that early on in life, from adolescence all the way up to menopause, a person's exposure to plant-based estrogens is actually cancer protective, which is an opposite sort of intuition when you think about like HRT, hormone replacement therapy, causing cancer or increasing a person's risk. I shouldn't say causing, increasing risk of cancer.
Right.
Why would somebody want to consume plant-based estrogens? Because wouldn't that do the same thing? Which is a perfectly like understandable sort of place for your mind to take you. But what's happening is, so suppose a woman secretes large quantities of estrogen. So they're producing lots and lots of these, and they're binding, to the receptor sites, exerting a 10 signal constantly, day in and day out. What's happening is when a person consumes plant-based estrogens, so say from soy or from flax, what's happening is now this molecule is competing with this molecule. It's hitting the receptor and giving it, say, like a 5 out of 10 signal, but it's leaving this in the cold. This stuff is floating around with nowhere to go, not doing anything.
And that's what's not good.
So what's happening is basically this normal 10 out of 10 signal, which does increase a person's risk for cancer over their lifetime. The constant 10 plus 10 plus 10, day in and day out, excessive estrogen stimulation increases a person's risk for cancer. So when you basically cut this out of the equation by replacing it with that,
it's a good thing.
It's keeping this just floating around like nowhere to go. It's kind of like no one's listening to it.
So that's good for
your
the
body's
body.
Basically your body's not receptive to it. So what this is doing is basically competing with this stuff.
And what happens in menopause for women?
The complete opposite. So you've got the cancer protective issue going on, and that's the more exposure, generally speaking, the better. So especially with Asian women, that's where most of the studies have been. The best cancer prevention has happened with those populations. When it comes to menopause, the complete opposite happens. When a person's estrogen levels and progesterone just crashes, sometimes like seemingly overnight. And then you get the hot flashes, the night sweats, mood swings, all types of different menopausal symptoms. So now you have all these receptors just sitting around in a person with menopause.
Nothing in them?
Just nothing in them, or very little. It's not a complete zero, but there's nothing in them. So what now happens is now you have phytoestrogens, because your body's output of estrogen has completely declined. Now you have phytoestrogens giving the receptors some stimulation, and they're like, oh, there is something happening. So now what happens is it's almost as if you've taken the drastic edge off menopause, and so instead of there being a drastic reduction in estrogen stimulation, you've kind of dampened it by giving those receptors some signal.
Right.
So then you have reductions in hot flashes and night sweats, and that's what the research shows, is that when you either consume more phytoestrogens, or more specifically like take phytoestrogen extracts, because they're more standardized, they're higher potency.
Well,
you can cut numbers of hot flashes down, severity of hot flashes down.
There's phytoestrogens in beer?
There is, and that's kind of where Yeah, that's kind of where the one of the issues lies is in order to get like a clinical significant effect, you have to have enough of
Exactly.
them. And even things like, you know, consuming soy protein. Soy protein will have, like a 20-gram serving of soy will have maybe 20 milligrams of phytoestrogens.
And you would need what to sort of compensate?
Like 100 to 200.
Okay, so then taking a supplement would make sense.
It's easier unless you're like just consuming like phytoestrogens all day long, trying to really focus on that.
We're almost out of time. Is there anything else that they help
Yes.
with?
Last but not least, the big thing has tons of research to support it is osteoporosis. So similarly, estrogen protects bone mineral density. So when a person hits menopause, their risk for osteopenia and osteoporosis and fracture goes up. So same thing, in the same way that phytoestrogens can protect against menopausal symptoms, they can also increase or maintain bone mass, bone mineral density.
Wow.
So preventing fractures, osteoporosis.
In the same way, because it's not a perfect fit, but it's enough to make the body think, hey.
Yeah, I'm younger than my menopause signal says
yeah,
I
I've got
should
what
be.
I need.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that people can take that can help them, and if they are going through any of these things? So there's the prevention, and then, you know, the menopause, and then osteoporosis. So what can they do?
So other than, you know, trying to make, you know, there's great benefits to flax outside of the isoflavones.
Yes.
There's you know, soy protein does have its benefits, and certainly it gives you that exposure to phytoestrogens. It gives you a nice protein source, especially if you're vegan. There are whole other issues to do with soy that we won't probably have time to talk about.
That'll be another one.
A whole other topic, yeah.
Honestly, we could make that another discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. So consuming those things, you know, that's more suitable, I think, for a cancer prevention strategy, because you have a whole lifetime to just pick up, you know, trace amounts of phytoestrogens from all these foods. Once you switch to having to treat menopause, it's good to go with either an extract of isoflavones. So this is 50 milligrams. So a person would take between 1 and 4 of these a day, depending on how severe
So
their
once you move
symptoms
into
are.
that, you should start looking at some supplements, and then people can come and talk to you guys about that.
And it's not a forever thing. Like, the menopausal symptoms usually occur because of a sudden drop in estrogen levels, but eventually it levels off. It's just the rapid change that causes those symptoms. So oftentimes people will use this
We'll
just
put
to
your board up because we got to go, but you can keep talking.
level them down. So instead of going so drastically and having all these hot flashes, night sweats hit you, you know, immediately, and you have to suffer with all that. Basically, if you supplement with phytoestrogens for a period of, you know, a few years, it'll just kind of decrease that curve and let you down gently.
That's great info.
Yeah.
We need a whole show for you, Tyler. Full Circle Healthcare and Supplements, 131 Upper Centennial Parkway, 905-930-7769, fullcirclehealthcare.ca. Stay with us. More to come on Hamilton Life after the break. Don't go anywhere.